The story begins with a powerful leader known as Emperor Ilchin who rules the vast land of Huan. He lives in an era where martial arts are highly valued and shape the world. He is the only one capable of uniting the entire continent under his rule. People admire him for his unmatched fighting skills and leadership, which earn him his title. The emperor has reached unparalleled mastery, as if he has touched the heavens. Beauty, wealth, power, and eternal youth are all within his grasp, ensuring he can obtain anything he desires. Yet despite all this, he feels an emptiness, as if something is missing. One day, he seeks out the one person who might help him. Deep inside a cavern, he finds the mage Black Saga. Abruptly, the mage asks what is lacking in his life that he would abandon everything. The emperor is taken aback and warns the mage not to approach him so suddenly. Offended, Black Saga demands an apology for all bald men across the continent. The emperor clarifies that the issue isn't the baldness, but the mage's boldness. Black Saga shouts for an apology, and the emperor states he will apologize to all bald men except the mage. Enraged, Black Saga calls him a ruthless ruler destined for misery. As the emperor prepares to leave, the mage questions why he would leave when he lacks nothing. With sorrow, the emperor replies that a deep longing resides within him, stronger than any regret. Black Saga laughs, unable to comprehend such feelings, then reveals a snakeskin scroll crafted from the legendary serpent emoji, which has lived 1,000 years. He emphasizes that such a rare item is a privilege, along with the Pantau fruit, said to descend from the celestial realm only once every millennium, something no one else can possess. He claims such treasures for he is the great military Emperor Lin, and yet he insists that there is a longing greater than everything he possesses. The emperor then asks why the mage has suddenly become so talkative, and whether he is beginning to feel anxious and hesitant now that he has finally declared his determination to leave. Black Saga falters for a moment before dismissing it as nonsense, saying that even if he is left all alone here, he would not even be able to die in solitude. And since the emperor has chosen to leave of his own free will, he can hardly contain his joy. The emperor scoffs, stating that he surely would, but no matter how much he tries, he will never understand nor grasp the loneliness one feels when trapped in a world to which they do not belong, or the devastation that sinks in upon realizing they might never see their family again. Black Saga replies indifferently that he has no concern for family or such meaningless emotions, then picks up the crystal, stating that once it is placed upon him, there will be no turning back. He asks one final time if the emperor is absolutely certain of his decision, free of any regret or hesitation, fully aware that he will never be able to reclaim anything he has owned or achieved. The emperor laughs and assures Black Saga that he holds no regrets or doubts. Rather, he is completely prepared, ready to return to his homeland and his true world, Earth, where his family awaits him. Black Saga reacts with intense emotion, channeling his power as he declares that if this is the emperor's wish, then as Black Saga, the greatest mage in the continent of Huan, he will grant it. He then instructs Emperor Yang Vijin to prepare himself, for this moment will strip him of everything. The emperor laughs, calling Black Saga insane before gradually losing consciousness as his eyes slowly shut. In a hospital, Yang Su-hyul lies on a medical bed connected to various monitoring devices. Gradually, he begins to open his eyes, unable to believe that the Mage Black's spell has actually worked. Doubt creeps into his mind, making him question the reality of what is happening. However, he resolves that if he has failed to return to his world, he will ensure that the old man's bald head gleams even brighter as revenge. He looks around to confirm his surroundings, soon realizing that he is lying in a hospital in Korea. With a deep sigh of relief, he finally confirms that he has indeed returned to his world. But the moment he tries to adjust his position on the bed, an unbearable pain shoots through his arm and his entire body aches to the point that he feels as though he might perish right then and there. Yang appears to be in a dreadful state. There is no logical way his body could have declined this severely just by lying down for a day or two, especially considering Black Saga had guaranteed that he would be returned to the exact moment he left Earth. However, it's now clear that the mage has failed to accurately manage the passage of time. Boiling with frustration, Yang mentally hurls curses at Black Saga, branding him a fake and a scammer. Yet with the weakness overtaking him, he realizes there is little he can do at the moment. His first priority must be to recover, even if just a bit. A thought strikes him to activate the Primal Earth technique, a stable internal energy method he had developed while in the continent of Juai. It's known for its exceptional ability to restore physical strength and life force. As he expected, energy begins surging throughout his body, gradually renewing his muscles and vital organs until they regain their former power and function. He starts to move his limbs, testing whether the technique performs as intended, and just as he had predicted, the Primal Earth technique proves to be remarkably effective, almost magical in its results. The transformation it brings to his body and even his skin is astonishing. With his strength and vitality now returned, Yang makes the decision to call a nurse to check his vital signs. But just as he reaches for the call button, a glowing system window materializes before his eyes. It welcomes him to the power system, stating that he has officially been registered for the first time. It further instructs him, now recognized as an awakened being, to defend his world. Stunned by the sudden display, Yang struggles to believe what he's witnessing. Thinking it might be part of a dream, he strikes himself across the cheek. The sharp sting that follows confirms this is real and not a figment of imagination. At that point, he once again curses Black Saga, who had sworn to return him to his world exactly as it had been. But everything around him feels wrong, as if the world he's come back to has changed in a way he can't yet explain. His attention locks onto the system window, which now displays his full name and personal details with precise clarity. Yang starts to realize that this is not some simple illusion or magical trick. Moreover, it becomes clear that neither a spirit nor a yokai could appear in such a realistic form. Additionally, he senses how disconnected he has become from modern inventions, having spent far too long in the martial arts realm. Still, he cannot completely dismiss the idea that Black Saga may have accidentally transported him to a world that resembles Earth, but is not the one he originally came from. Yet, if that is true, he questions why his name and date of birth are exactly the same. Everything feels far too precise to chalk up to coincidence. What frustrates him more is the system window that stubbornly remains in front of him, refusing to vanish. He waves his hand in front of it, commanding it to disappear, and to his surprise, the window begins to fade at once. Yang finds himself shocked at how quickly it reacts to his gesture, adding to his confusion and inability to comprehend what's happening. Up to this point, he has only seen things like this in games or films, and this leads him to believe one thing: this is not the same world he once lived in before being pulled into the martial arts dimension. At that very moment, he notices two nurses walking past his room. He calls out to them, hoping to make sense of the strange situation. However, the instant they hear his voice, both nurses stop in their tracks, their faces frozen in disbelief. They appear horrified, staring at the patient, Yang Su-hyu, awake, who has just spoken to them. Yang is just as puzzled, unable to understand why they are reacting this way, especially since he hasn't said anything unusual. Without warning, one of the nurses turns and rushes off, announcing that she's going to call the doctor. As soon as the doctor arrives, he begins checking Yang's condition. After examining him carefully, he comments that Yang's pupils are responding normally to light. He then asks if Yang is feeling any odd sensations, numbness, or difficulty moving parts of his body. Yang replies that he feels none of those things and in fact feels completely fine. The doctor is clearly amazed and remarks that this is truly extraordinary, as all of his physical functions are showing no signs of abnormality. This reaction surprises the doctor all the more, given that 5 years have passed since the incident where Yang collided with the gate. Yang cuts in, stunned by this statement, and demands to know what he means by 5 years and how that could be possible. The doctor confirms that Yang lost consciousness 5 years ago and has remained in the hospital in a coma ever since. Yang's shock intensifies as the weight of that truth hits him. If he has been unconscious for 5 full years, he begins to wonder what the current year is. Before Yang can ask, the doctor finishes the thought, telling him that it is now the year 2028. Yang is left completely speechless by how much time has passed. Internally, he curses Black Saga, remembering how the mage constantly bragged about his magical powers, and yet, in the end, failed to carry out his promise accurately. Yang vows to himself that if he ever returns to the continent of Huan, he will personally wring the mage's neck for throwing him into such a mess. The doctor then gently tells Yang that he understands he must have many questions, but the most important thing right now is making sure his health stays steady. He advises Yang to rest for the time being, promising that once he regains more strength, they can talk in detail about anything he wants. The nurse agrees, adding that she knows the shock he's experiencing is great, but rest must come first. She also informs him that his family has already been contacted and is on their way to the hospital. The moment Yang hears the word family, he sits up quickly, eager to listen as the nurse explains that throughout his coma, his family has taken turns visiting nearly every day. That alone is enough for him to understand how much they love him. Feeling touched, he asks if they've said when they'll arrive. The nurse replies that they were contacted an hour ago, so they should be on their way. At that moment, the door suddenly bursts open and a young woman rushes in. The nurse smiles and tells Yang that his younger sister has apparently arrived first at the hospital. His sister runs toward him, tears threatening to fall, and with a shaky voice asks if he has really woken up. Yang smiles and says there's no way he could forget something like that. He then asks if she's really his younger sister, Sua, as he remembers her being so small, but now she has grown into a beautiful young woman. Sua's eyes fill with emotion, and she responds with heartfelt words, saying that her older brother is truly awake and speaking to her again. Yang laughs and says, as he mentioned before, he would never forget something so important, but from his point of view, she's the one who has changed the most. Before he can finish his thought, Suwa throws herself into his arms, crying and overwhelmed by emotion. At first, Yang is caught by surprise, but soon he is overcome as well and embraces his sister tightly. The nurse hesitates, then gently warns Suwa to be careful not to harm the patient, as his body has not fully healed. Yang waves it off with a laugh and reassures her that he's okay. Suwa sobs, telling him she feared he would never wake up again and that she would never see him. Yang apologizes, saying he's sorry for making her wait and worry for so long. He hugs her once more, sealing the emotional reunion between brother and sister after 5 long years. Once she settles down, Suwa asks how he's feeling and if he's in any pain, especially since she's heard that people who regain consciousness after gate collisions often suffer intense pain. Yang replies playfully that he feels completely fine and that she knows if he ever lost his strength, he'd be nothing more than a lifeless body. He then moves his arm in front of her to prove he's in good shape. Suwa warns him not to push himself too hard or he might feel severe pain later. Yang laughs and teases that even with all her knowledge, she still threw herself at him without hesitation. Suwa responds innocently, saying she didn't mean to, her body simply reacted on its own. Hearing this, Yang smiles and tells her he'll let it slide just this once. Still, he notices that she keeps bringing up terms like gate collision and portals, which raises his curiosity. He asks what those things are and how they're connected to him. Suwa replies that it's normal for him not to know about the gates or the gate collision yet, that begins to explain. She tells him that 5 years ago in 2023, a massive earthquake struck, what first seemed like a natural disaster. That was the moment when dimensional gates began to appear, leading into other worlds. Not all of these worlds were unfamiliar, but most were filled with dangerous areas called dungeons, where terrifying monsters lived. Around the same time, some humans began to awaken with special powers, allowing them to fight back against these beasts. In just 5 years, the world has completely transformed, and the day those gates first emerged is now known as the Gate Collision. Yang finds the story she tells hard to believe, especially the part about monsters. Yang tells her that all this talk about awakened individuals and special powers is too much for him to take in at once. Suwa gently comforts him, saying there's no need to worry about it right now. Once he leaves the hospital, he'll start to understand everything. Yang begins to think, linking what he just heard to the system window that showed up earlier. He starts to believe it may have something to do with the awakened ones and their powers. He quietly makes up his mind that once he's out of the hospital, he will look into it seriously. At the same time, he also thinks it's better to keep the system window a secret for now, since talking about it might be risky when he still doesn't know much about what it means. Suddenly, Suwa notices the serious look on his face and asks if something is wrong. Yang replies that it's nothing important and then quickly changes the topic by asking if she has joined a university and how her studies are going. Suwa hesitates, looking uneasy, before finally saying that she hasn't gone to any university at all. Yang feels shocked and questions her firmly, reminding her that she had always been a great student. He worries that his situation might have affected her choice. Suwa quickly assures him that it's not what he thinks. She says school just became boring to her, and she needed to start earning money. Yang feels like she's hiding something and using weak reasons, but he's unsure if he should ask more or act like he didn't notice. Suwa tells him not to doubt her words and insists that she's telling the truth. She adds that she's also waiting for their parents to come. Yang answers that she's just trying to change the subject again, but says he'll let it go this time. Suwa, now a little upset, insists again that she's not lying and says their parents will be arriving very soon. As Yang quietly thinks about it all, he realizes these are now memories from his past. He has never had problems with his mother, but his relationship with his father has always been the most difficult. His father is a writer, always deep in his work, whether writing stories, poems, or even working as a critic. He spends most of his time locked inside his study, fully caught up in his writing, which often leads to failure. During Yang's childhood, he rarely pays attention to him and never spends time like other fathers usually do. This makes Yang feel forgotten. On top of that, his father always carries the weight of the family's money problems, but Yang never accepts that truth. Instead, he grows angry and holds a grudge against him for years, until one day he can't keep it in anymore. After coming home from school, Yang loses control and faces his father in a burst of anger. He demands to know how long he plans to continue writing these useless stories. He tells him that he should be ashamed of himself. His father, surprised by his son's sudden anger, waits a moment before answering. He says writing is only a hobby and that he has already found another job, one he will start that same night. Still, he tells Yang that for now, what matters most is eating dinner, and there's no need to worry about anything else. But Yang doesn't listen to any of it. He yells again, saying he can't take this sad life anymore, and storms out of the room. Because of that day, his father quits writing completely. He He lets go of his biggest dream just to make his son happy. One day, their father comes home with a food bag in his hands. He calls out to the kids happily, telling them he brought fried chicken, their favorite. But he is surprised to see Yang getting ready to leave. He asks where he's going and whether he won't eat with them. Yang answers with a cold voice, saying he won't be joining because he's going out to celebrate with his friends. Their father smiles and tells him that it's good to spend time with friends, but at the very least, he should have asked for permission first. Then he pulls out some money and explains that he's been saving it for emergencies, but he's okay with giving it to Yang so he can have a nice time. But Yang reacts in a way his father doesn't expect. He throws the money on the floor full of anger and shouts that he doesn't need anything from him. He says his father doesn't even have enough money to act like a real dad, and that everything he does feels like a failure. His father freezes in place, unable to say a word. Yang goes on, saying that their family would be better off without him and that he should stop pretending to be a father. His father stands there in silence, trying to make sense of his son's painful words. Yang knows he is being harsh and disrespectful, but at the time he is too young and too proud to understand. He never imagines this would be the last time he speaks to his father, the last time he would see him. Maybe, if he had known, he might have said something different. But even that isn't certain. He's still just a careless teenager blind with pride. As he walks away, he suddenly feels a strange sensation behind him, a rush of unknown energy flowing up his back. When he turns to look, he is shocked by what he sees. It's the first time he ever lays eyes on a gate. What scares him more is when he sees his father running toward him from afar, heading straight toward the gate that suddenly appears. But he doesn't make it in time. It's already too late. From the day he arrives in the continent of Huan until now, that moment never leaves his mind. He thinks about it every single day, feeling guilt over the broken bond with his father and wishing he could go back to the moment before the gate appeared. That feeling has never gone away, and the first thing he promises himself after returning to his world is to apologize for everything he has done. But 5 years have already passed. Just then, his parents arrive. Their faces are full of shock when they see their son awake after so long. His mother runs to him, grabs his hand, and says she can't believe he has finally woken up. Yang smiles and says playfully that he is now awake and healthy. His mother begins to cry, thanking God, saying she once thought he might never open his eyes again. His father asks if he feels any pain or if he's truly okay. Yang looks at him with deep emotion, ready to speak. But before he can say anything, his father cuts in, apologizing. He says he had worked extra hard to earn more money, hoping to afford better treatment, but in the end, he wasn't strong enough. Yang responds right away, saying there's no need to say sorry. He says he's the one who should apologize. He admits that everything that happened is his own fault. Even though his father did all he could to take care of the family, Yang had blamed him wrongly. All through the years he was unconscious, he thought about what happened and felt sorry. And now, all he wants is to apologize. So he says sorry to his father and promises never to speak that way to him again. His father laughs, steps forward, and gives him a hug. The whole family shares a warm, emotional moment, crying tears of happiness. Even Suad is surprised. She says she can't believe her once mean brother is being so sweet. Then she starts crying too, saying he's annoying but also kind, and that she's happy their family is together again. Yang wipes his eyes and laughs, joking about how strange her words are. That makes both their parents laugh too. They say Suwa has always said weird things like that, so it's nothing new. Yang laughs and says her condition has gotten worse. Suwa gets mad and yells at him to take back what he said. And so the family comes back together again, and Yang returns to the people he loves. After 3 more days, he finishes his discharge steps and finally leaves the hospital. Even the doctor himself appears stunned, unable to believe that Yang has fully recovered after spending 5 years bedridden. He even asks if Yang is truly conscious, still in disbelief. However, Yang chooses to keep his condition a secret for now, as he hasn't yet fully grasped the changes within him. He doesn't feel comfortable revealing everything to a doctor he barely knows. Still, the encounter proves beneficial. The doctor becomes intrigued by Yang's remarkable healing abilities and offers to cover half of his medical expenses, on the condition that Yang visits the hospital once a month for examinations. Yang feels a sense of pride, believing he has done something honorable by easing a significant financial burden on his family. However, he knows the real credit belongs to the primal earth technique. Later, Yang and his sister arrive at their home. Suo points to the building, explaining that their apartment is on the top floor. She mentions that due to certain circumstances, they ended up living there. She also tells him that their parents rarely come by, so he's free to choose any room he likes. Yang is shocked by what he sees. Though his family has experienced poverty before, things have never looked this dire. He quickly realizes that their current state is a result of the sacrifices made for his hospital care. The realization hits hard, and he resolves to earn money, quickly, and in large amounts to support the family that has suffered for his sake. Yang realizes early on that the fastest and most straightforward way to earn money is by becoming a hunter. While guardians are responsible for protecting the earth and hold high status, hunters make far more money. However, Yang's current physical condition prevents him from qualifying as a hunter. Even short bursts of activity leave him exhausted. When he opens the system window, a notification explains that his weakness is due to the effects of prolonged hibernation. Instantly, Yang understands that this is the cause of his fatigue. Despite knowing this, he refuses to be discouraged. Although some monsters are rumored to be easy targets, he doesn't trust hearsay when it comes to his future. Determined to improve, he focuses on rebuilding his physical strength. Luckily, even basic training helps his body recover. Being highly skilled in martial arts also gives him an added edge. For 15 days after leaving the hospital, Yang trains without rest, determined to strengthen himself. He practices the most essential martial arts forms, such as running and the horse stance, which are widely respected across the continent of Huan. He firmly believes this is the right path, but despite his unwavering effort, the lingering effects of hibernation and the contamination in his hunter abilities do not fade as quickly as expected. This leaves him confused. His training should be producing better results, but the contamination rate decreases too slowly. If he keeps going at this pace, he fears he'll accomplish nothing. With his family, his parents and sister Sua, working tirelessly to support him, he feels immense pressure to succeed. He realizes that a bold and immediate solution is necessary. He must become a hunter quickly, no matter the cost. At this point, Yang decides to rely once again on the primal earth technique. As the core martial arts method of the continent of Huan is considered the strongest foundational practice, it contains a hidden ability. It not only stabilizes the body, but also pushes it to its limits, awakening its full potential. The technique revitalizes bodily functions using nature's energy, much like regenerating cells. However, the technique is extremely difficult, nearly impossible for an average human to master. Only 3 people in Huan have ever achieved it. Some see this pursuit as driven by greed, but Yang views it as pure determination. Without it, he believes he cannot succeed. While Yang continues training, an elderly woman passes by, clearly exhausted. She complains aloud about her aching back and weak knees, but her grumbling halts as she hears Yang's voice. Shocked, she sees him sprinting up the stairs with unbelievable speed. She, who struggles with every step, is amazed. Repeating how incredible youthful energy is, she wishes she were just 10 years younger so she could climb the stairs with such ease and elegance, just like the young man flying past her. Yang, however, doesn't even notice her. His attention is fully fixed on his goal. He has already committed himself to never resting, never quitting. His determination is unwavering. He believes that if breaking through his physical limits is the only way to reach the world he dreams of, then he will keep pushing forward. This resolve is exactly why he will one day be known as the military emperor. With that mindset, Yang continues running up and down the stairs all day long. Yang continues his training without pause even as the sun sets. Despite his growing exhaustion, he keeps climbing and descending the stairs through the night. His tireless effort attracts the attention of several onlookers. 2 people stop on a nearby bridge, watching him in amazement. They are stunned that someone who looks so ordinary can keep running with such dedication. Though unaware of his situation, they admire him deeply and wish their own children would abandon video games in favor of physical activity. After a long period of relentless training, Yang reaches a point of complete exhaustion. His body can no longer go on, but he convinces himself that he is close to his goal. Activating the primal earth technique once more, he checks to see how far he has progressed. He needs to know whether he has truly reached his limit or still has a way to go. At that moment, he senses that he's almost there. Only a bit more effort remains. Renewed by hope, he pushes forward with even more determination and starts climbing the stairs at full speed. Though his body cries out for rest, he ignores the pain. Suddenly, a system notification interrupts his momentum, forcing him to stop and check the message. He is stunned when he reads that the system has responded to his unyielding determination by increasing his strength and endurance. The special ability of the primal earth technique activates at that moment, and energy rushes through his entire body. His strength transforms instantly, and he is filled with overwhelming joy. Realizing his efforts have paid off, Yang discovers that he has reached level 2. Every injury and trace of fatigue disappears completely. Finally, he arrives at the top of the stairs and lets out a triumphant cry, declaring that he had believed in his success all along. The system sends him further notifications, acknowledging his perseverance and recognizing the hidden effect of the primal earth technique. The system not only activates the awakening effect of the primal earth technique, but also rewards Yang for his achievement. With this, he completes the first requirement on his path to becoming a hunter. He now stands closer than ever to reaching his goal. As planned, Yang heads to the Hunters Guild the next morning to register himself. Though he aims to arrive early, the process takes longer than expected as it first requires him to register his skills. Yang finds the concept of skills puzzling. He can't grasp how someone can use abilities without proper martial arts or magical training. Because of this, his skill window remains empty, showing only the primal earth technique, which he masters through his own efforts. However, after doing some research, he discovers that most hunters typically have at least 3 registered skills. This revelation causes him to panic. In response, Yang begins practicing various combat techniques, and gradually each one gets recorded as a skill. During this period, he learns a lot about the skill system, though he still doesn't see it as particularly important. Since his main goal is to earn money quickly, standing out from the crowd might actually be an advantage. Inside the evaluation room, a staff member carries out routine assessments of awakened individuals. He grows bored after testing countless people throughout the day, most of whom show no special abilities. His attention shifts when Yang approaches the desk, saying he has come for the awakening assessment test. The staff member sighs and asks him to place his hand on the crystal, explaining that it will light up only if he is truly awakened. Otherwise, he will be considered an ordinary person and sent away. Yang knows that some people mistakenly believe they are awakened, but he trusts the confirmation from his system window. As expected, the moment he touches the crystal, it lights up. This confirms his awakened status. The staff member, surprised, congratulates him and immediately begins helping him with the registration process. He hands Yang a form and asks him to fill out the required details. To Yang's surprise, the process goes smoothly and doesn't involve any complicated steps. With proof of magical ability, he is now officially recognized as an awakened individual. He sits down, completes the form, and hands it back. But then he notices the staff member staring at him with disbelief as though he is joking. The staff member asks whether Yang has come just to mess around, saying it's absurd for someone at level 1 to have 32 registered skills. Confused, Yang asks if something is wrong. The staff member explains that the issue isn't a mistake. It's that the situation is completely illogical. He acknowledges Yang's enthusiasm after awakening, but reminds him that these matters are serious and not a game. Yang is left stunned, realizing how strange and unexpected it is to have 32 skills at such a low level. The staff member finds it hard to believe what Yang claims, treating the situation as if it's too good to be true. Frustrated, Yang offers to switch his system window to public mode to prove his statement. The staff member acknowledges that it's technically possible, but still doesn't understand what Yang is trying to show. The moment he sees Yang's system window, he is left speechless. It displays more than 10 registered skills, all ranked A or higher. Confidently, Yang asks if he believes him now. The staff member quickly confirms that he absolutely does and promises to process Yang's application immediately and with full accuracy. He apologizes again and again for not recognizing Yang's talent sooner. Yang laughs and assures him that it's no big deal. The staff member then brings Yang's form directly to the Hunters Guild director, Huan, who looks surprised and asks if it's real. The staff member confirms that it is, stating that he witnessed it himself and never imagined such a thing was possible. Director Wu laughs, commenting that it has been a long time since such an interesting rookie has appeared. Meanwhile, Yang runs all the way home from the guild, his heart pounding with excitement. He can't stop moving. The system's rewards and bonuses are too incredible to ignore. Initially, he thinks registering at the guild would mean he can start working as a hunter right away, but he soon learns that it's not so simple. Before anything else, you must complete a basic training course. It's a government-enforced policy designed to prevent unprepared individuals from recklessly entering dungeons, which has caused many deaths in the past. The hunter training course begins at the end of each month, and since today is the 26th, Yang has 5 days before it starts. Although he keeps thinking he doesn't need such training, he knows he's in no position to argue or request an exemption. Until then, his focus remains on training his body and increasing his strength. He commits himself to this not only for his family, but for himself. The 5 days pass quickly, and Yang arrives at the training site, surprised to find around 50 people gathered, far more than he expected. He had heard that many avoided this training due to the risks involved, but it doesn't bother him. Everyone has their own reasons and choices. Suddenly, Yang senses a strange presence around him, an unfamiliar energy unlike anyone else's. At that moment, an elf woman steps onto the platform and instructs everyone to look forward and listen. The group reacts with surprise. Some are simply stunned to see an elf addressing them directly. Others are thrilled to witness one in person for the first time. Yang, however, remains calm and observant. He finds it remarkable that he can sense her aura even before she steps onto the platform. Despite losing all his previous cultivation techniques, he couldn't detect her presence until she spoke, which means she isn't just fast. She is nearly invisible or possibly using a special technique known only to elves. But to Yang, the details don't matter. What interests him is how intriguing the situation has become. The elf woman notices Yang, or rather, she has been searching for him from the start. The guild has specifically instructed her to observe and monitor him closely, and now she understands why. Even at level 1, Yang manages to sense her presence, if only for a moment. In all of her time with the most promising elf trainees, she has never encountered someone with such abilities. For the first time, she feels this might actually be interesting. Clearing her throat, the elf calls for silence and the attention of all trainees. She expresses her pleasure in meeting them and explains that she has received a special request from Korea to oversee this training course. She introduces herself as Shahar Kalworth from the Elven Kingdom of Fum. Although her stay will be short, she looks forward to working with the people of Earth. She also requests they call her simply Instructor Shahar, as repeating her full name would be too difficult. Yang chuckles quietly, thinking that Shahar sounds much more manageable anyway. Even though it sounds like a pet dog's name, it still kind of fits. Instructor Shahar explains that this is the first time an elf is asked to teach humans, so it's normal for them to be curious. She says she understands, but because there's not much time, she will only take the first 3 questions. Right then, one of the students quickly raises her hand, excited to speak. The young girl says her name is Bakyan and that she is 19 years old. Everyone is surprised because that's pretty young for a hunter. Shahar greets her kindly and says she's happy to meet her. She tells Yan to go ahead with her question. Smiling, Yan says that instead of a question, she wants to say that Instructor Shahar is not only the prettiest person she has ever seen, but also the most amazing elf teacher in the whole world. Shahar laughs and says that's a funny way to speak, especially since she asked for questions, not compliments. She then adds that she is the heir of the famous Kal Illyriart family and wants to be known as a fighter, not just a pretty face. Shahar then asks the others to raise their hands for the next question. Many hands go up. She picks a young man with red hair, saying he raised his hand first, so he gets to ask. Yang looks at him and quietly thinks that even though the guy seems old style, he personally doesn't like tattoos or the man's weird look. The red-haired guy says his name is Jin Chang Jin. He says his question might sound weird, especially because he came a long way, but he wants to know if someone who broke the law can still join the training. He read that it depends on what the course teacher decides. Instructor Shahar asks if he means he did something wrong and then wants to know what it was. Jin says he was caught stealing, but makes it clear that he doesn't support crime or bad behavior. Shahar replies, telling him he won't be judged badly for what he did in the past. Things are different in Elvenheim. There, people who break the rules have 2 choices: serve their clan or fight to protect it. Since Jin is here with the others, it means he picked the second choice. In Elvenheim, this is called Langder. On Earth, the closest word they have for it is honorable repentance. If Jin made a mistake in the past, he has to try harder than anyone else to do his job, but he should never forget what he did. Instead, he needs to always keep it in mind and behave in a good and respectful way because of it. A crime might not be easy to erase, but that doesn't mean people can't forgive. Jin thanks her for her words. Then Instructor Shahar asks everyone to raise their hands for the 3rd and final question of the day, but she is surprised to see Yang's hand already up before she even finishes her sentence. She asks for his name and his question. Yang introduces himself, but Shahar says she already knows who he is. In fact, she is personally very interested in him. When she says this, the other students start whispering, wondering if Yang already knows the instructor or if something strange is going on. Yang feels confused and asks what she means by being interested in him. Shahar laughs a little and asks if that's really the question he wants to ask. Yang says no, and then he has a different question. She tells him to go ahead. Yang then asks if she will be teaching all of them by herself. Instructor Shahar answers that she will not. She says she understands why he might think that, since she is the head instructor, but she can't teach every subject to such a big group alone. That's why she will get help from trainers who are born on Earth. For hands-on training, she can only lead one team herself. Yang gets her point and thinks it's kind of like a school principal who teaches only one class. He finds it pretty interesting. Instructor Shahar then says that the question time is over and it's time to start the next session. But before she can move on, one of the trainees speaks up in a rude voice. He says he doesn't trust her or believe in her skills as a teacher. He says it makes sense because she isn't even human. So why should they trust her or how she teaches? She isn't one of the trusted trainers like the one before. Then he looks at her soft and pretty looks and says he doesn't believe she can even fight. She seems better for anything but war. Instructor Shahar feels anger build up inside her. She tells him that if he needs proof, she'll give it right now. Then, she activates her power and releases a green fog of energy. It spreads toward the man and everyone nearby. As soon as the fog touches them, their bodies freeze. They can't move or stand properly. Even breathing becomes hard and they can't take air in like before. Instructor Shahar says that asking questions and wanting proof is good, but being respectful and following rules is just as important. She then warns the rude trainee. She says this is the last time she will let such rude behavior go. Maybe he doesn't see his mistake now, but if he does it again, she won't hold back. But what really surprises her is that Yang isn't affected by the fog at all. It's like the mist never touched him. Shahar is shocked that he can stand strong through it. Even though the fog was just a warning, it's still too powerful for a beginner hunter, someone who has never even been in a real fight, to resist so easily. She now knows she must not only keep an eye on Yang, she might even need to take him into battle with her. Yang feels something is not right and begins to think maybe he should have just acted like he passed out like the others, instead of standing there alone and making everyone stare. Meanwhile, instructor Shahar keeps thinking. She believes that being brave and calm doesn't always mean someone has great skills. So instead of making a fast choice she might regret, she decides to keep watching him for now. After that, she removes the effect of the mist and talks to the trainees. She says that the orientation day is now over, but during the training, she wants them to keep smiling and always stay positive. Then, she waves at them and says she'll see them in the next session, reminding them to take care of themselves until then. The next day, the trainees finally begin their training. The first lesson is about a cat-like monster. Yang finds it hard to pay attention since he hasn't sat in a classroom for a long time. All he wants is for this boring theory lesson to end fast so they can get to the hands-on part. But instructor Shahar is in the classroom and notices right away that Yang looks lazy. Without waiting, she uses her power to give him a little shock to wake him up. Yang realizes he had fallen asleep because he was bored, and now Shahar has given him a warning not to do it again. The truth is, Yang has never been good at studying or reading from books. While trying not to look at the board, his eyes accidentally meet Jin's. Jin quickly looks away, pretending it didn't happen, like it was just an accident. But Yang sees that Jin is actually looking at his books and notes, which makes him think maybe Jin isn't just a big guy with tattoos. But his thinking gets cut off when instructor Shahar hits him again for not paying attention. She yells at him to stay focused and not drift off again. She warns him that this is the last time she'll let it go. Yang sighs and turns to the board, not wanting to, and feels like Shahar is too strict and harsh. It's clear that being friends with her won't be easy. Finally, the lesson ends. The instructor tells them to go over what they've learned and not let it pile up. He also says there's a reason why some students fail the exams each year. As Yang thinks about it, he's surprised to see how serious this class is about the lessons. He wishes all classes were like this. After the lecture is done, Yang starts packing up his books and notes to leave, but Yun calls out to him. She greets him happily and says she has been watching him for a while. Yang feels surprised and embarrassed and by accident calls her a middle schooler without thinking. This makes Yun really mad. She yells that she's in high school and calls him an old man. Yang laughs awkwardly, says sorry, and says he remembers now. She's 19. She says yes, she's 19, and then asks if he knows why she's talking to him now. Yang asks if she needs something. She answers that during the time instructor Shahar scolded everyone, he was the only one who didn't get affected by her aura. Yang is surprised she noticed because he thought no one saw. But Jin joins in and says he noticed it too and thought it was impressive. Yeon adds that she was amazed and joked that maybe Yang's heart is made of metal. How else could he handle it? Yang says his heart is just like anyone else's and he just got lucky, nothing more. Yin tells him to stop pretending and admit that he did something amazing. Jin adds that being humble is a great quality. Yang then asks if that's the reason Jin kept sneaking looks at him during class. Jin quickly says sorry and explains that he didn't mean to be rude, he was honestly just impressed. At that point, Yang starts to change his first thoughts about Jin. Maybe he isn't just a big guy with lots of tattoos. Maybe he's actually a decent person. As Yang grabs his things and gets ready to leave, Yun stops him and suggests they all go eat lunch together. After all, they were the question trio on the first day. Already walking away, Yang replies that he's busy right now and they can hang out later. He then uses his power and move quickly, and Yun runs after him, yelling that he must be kidding if he's using his powers just to get away. Jin laughs and says the scene looks like something from a movie. Annoyed, Yun calls Yang a rude old man. The theory classes go on for a full 30 days, unchangeable and part of the national education system. Yang thinks the best way is to pass the test fast and get to the hands-on training, but he's confused by how many people fail the test every year. So to make sure he doesn't fail, he studies hard. And thanks to instructor Shahar, he has no choice but to pay attention in class, whether he likes it or not. Because of this, the theory teachers expect this group to have the highest passing rate ever, but that doesn't mean everyone will pass. Even if the written part seems easy, nobody can do well without real studying. At the end of the day, Yun walks up to Yang and tells him there are rumors. Some say that people who fail once will always fail. She's scared there might be some kind of scary curse, and she asks if Yang feels the same way. Yang calmly answers that the answer is simple. They just need to avoid failing. He's sure there's a more reasonable reason why people fail, but before they can talk more, they hear laughter. They see a group of hunters making plans to go out for dinner and have some drinks. They say they'll worry about the exams later and believe they can handle the whole course eventually. Yang tells Yun he'll be leaving first and can't join the dinner plans because of the exams. Yin sighs and says he's really cold and needs to learn how to relax. Yang walks away feeling happy he has a good reason to skip it. His top goal is spending time with his family, and he doesn't want to lose that chance again. After a whole month, it's finally time for the written test. Everyone takes the exam and now waits for the results. Jin says that the results will come out the same day, which makes him super nervous. Yeon is also feeling tense. She whispers little prayers, soft but still loud enough to hear. Jin asks her to stop, saying he's already too stressed to deal with more. Yin asks if she's making him mad. He says yes, he's very annoyed. As soon as he says that, Yeon starts teasing him even more. Jin gets upset, and the two start chasing each other and arguing, until Yang steps in and tells them to calm down since the results are about to be shown. The results finally appear, and everyone feels super nervous. But all three of their names are on the list of people who passed. Yin jumps up happily and starts celebrating their win. Yang says she always acts like a kid and is always goofing around, yet now her name is right at the top. Yin smiles and proudly says that a truly talented person does their best quietly, without anyone noticing. Yang agrees a little and looks at Jin, who is crying tears of happiness because he finally passed the test. Now he can proudly tell his younger brothers and sisters that he did something great. Yang thinks that even though Jin looks flashy on the outside, deep down he is a kind and noble person. Since they've been sitting together in class, they've slowly gotten closer and Yang has learned more about him. He finds out that Jin takes care of his 3 younger siblings all by himself. His dad passed away from drinking too much, and his mom left the house after suffering for years. Because of all this, Jin has been taking care of his siblings since his 2nd year of high school. People often say that his tough personality comes from his rough life, but the truth is, he's not a bad guy at all. He's actually very responsible and caring. He even stole once just to feed his siblings. After he got out of jail, he worked hard to pay back his debts, showing that he really is a good person. Yang tells him that he's been through a lot and says that because he's strong, he just needs a little push to reach his dreams. Jin wipes away his tears and thanks Yang, saying he couldn't have done it without his help and encouragement. Yang laughs shyly and says he didn't do anything, that it was all Jin's own hard work. But Jin disagrees. He says that watching Yang work so hard gave him the courage to keep going, and for that, he owes him a lot. Yang jokes and tells him to stop saying nice things like that. He won't fall for flattery. Yen jumps in happily, saying that the 3 of them will finally move on to the next part, the training stage. Jin thanks her too and says how grateful he is. He admits that she always helped him study after class, and her help really mattered. Yin smiles and says they're friends, so there's no need to be so formal. Yang is surprised to hear that Yin also helped Jin with studying. Right then, Jin gets a phone call from his younger siblings. They want to know if he passed. With excitement, he tells them that he did, just like he promised. He says the hardest part is over and only a little is left. Yang thinks about bringing him back to reality, but decides to let him enjoy the happy moment a little longer. Then he has another thought. Out of 49 trainees, 42 passed. Even though the usual passing rate is just 50%, this time it's much better. It's clear that instructor Shahar's tough way of teaching helped a lot. She might really be an expert in teaching and training. But still, the real and hardest challenge is coming soon. The practical training starts next week. That week goes by super fast, and the training part of the course begins. Instructor Shahar greets her team and says she'll be leading Team 8. Since they already know each other, there's no need for introductions. They can start right away. Jin is surprised that they all ended up in the same group, even though he's not sure how it happened. Instructor Shahar explains that she made the teams herself and thought it was best to put people with similar traits together. As for her being in charge of Team 8, that part was left to chance. She says she picked this team by lottery, and it looks like their paths were already connected by fate. Yin smiles brightly, saying she's glad that destiny brought them together. With such a great teacher too. Instructor Shahar replies that fate is truly interesting, but that doesn't mean she'll go easy on them during today's training. Right away, Jin and Yeo notice a big change in the air and in Instructor Shahar's energy. They both get ready, as if a real fight is coming. Yang also feels the shift and realizes that Shahar is about to begin the training right away. Her energy is super powerful. It feels like they're heading into a real battle, not just a practice session. Instructor Shahar then says that today's task is to go into a gate. She looks at Jin and asks if he can explain what a gate is. Jin answers that gates are doorways to other worlds. Shahar says he's right. But she also adds that not all gates are the same. Then she turns to Yang and asks if he remembers what was taught in the final lecture last week. Yang replies that gates are mostly split into two types, friendly ones and dangerous ones. Among the dangerous ones, there are levels from 1 to 13, with the higher levels being much more risky. Instructor Shahar praises him and says it's a good sign that even students who didn't pay much attention before can now answer questions correctly. She then tells the team they'll be entering a level 1 hostile gate today. Turning to Yan, she asks her what makes a level 1 gate different. Yan answers that level 1 gates are the weakest kind. They have easier monsters with fewer numbers, which is why they're used for practice by trainees like them. Instructor Shahar then asks if Yan thinks that means the dungeon will be easy. Yan, full of confidence, says it'll be super easy and they'll finish it quickly. Instructor Shahar's voice changes as she asks if Yan believes that monsters in the gate aren't strong enough to hurt people. Yang speaks up, saying that the monsters inside the gate can definitely kill people. After all, they are gate monsters. Instructor Shahar agrees and reminds them that the creatures inside can really be deadly. That's why monsters give off something called killing intent, or a scary feeling that warns people they are in danger. Then she releases a powerful and dangerous aura. Both Yan and Jin feel it right away and can't handle it. But even though Yang senses it too, he doesn't seem bothered at all. This makes Instructor Shahar notice him more closely. Even with such a strong killing aura, Yang stays standing without any sign of fear. Yang sees her looking at him and starts to wonder if he should pretend to be affected. So he acts like the aura is too much for him. But Instructor Shahar sees through his act and tells him he doesn't need to fake it. She explains that this kind of feeling might be new for them, but they need to start getting used to it. After all, like she said before, monsters can kill people. If they can't learn to deal with the killing aura these monsters give off, they will sadly die sooner than expected. Still, she praises them and says they've done a good job and look ready. Except for one person. But that's okay. She didn't expect everyone to stand strong against her dangerous aura. Then she asks if any of them have ever been in a real battle before. Yang says he has been in something kind of similar, but Shahar replies that a similar experience isn't the same as real killing intent. She says he's clearly hiding something. Still, she adds that it doesn't matter if someone has secrets, as long as they have the strength and toughness to handle what's coming. After that, the trainees follow Instructor Shahar as they get ready to go to the training gate. She tells them that if they run at full speed, they can reach the Mappo Station gate within 1 hour. Yang is shocked and asks if she really means they have to run the whole way. Shahar replies that she doesn't know how to use public transportation. Yum doesn't know how to drive either. Plus, she says running is a great warm-up before a real fight. Since Yang Suryak is the leader of Team 8, it's his job to guide his teammates to the training place. They have 1 hour to reach Mappo Station, where they will meet her. She says she'll go ahead first and warns them not to be late. Then in just a moment, Instructor Shahar disappears right in front of them. Yang sighs, realizing they have no choice but to run. As Yan tries to complain and says she doesn't want to run that far, she sees that Yang and Jin have already taken off. She yells at them not to leave her behind. Finally, after a full hour of running, they arrive at the spot, all totally worn out. Instructor Shahar tells them they made it faster than expected, an amazing result for new trainees. As a reward, she gives them a 10-minute break before training begins. Jin and Yan drop to the ground right away. Jin groans, saying he almost passed out from exhaustion, and Yan agrees. But Yang notices something. Earlier, their bodies were stiff and nervous because of the scary aura. Now, after the long run, their muscles are more relaxed. Makes him wonder, did Instructor Shahar plan this on purpose? If she did, she might be even smarter and more skilled than they thought. Maybe the title Chief Instructor really suits her. After the 10 minutes pass, Instructor Shahar calls them and says the break is over. She asks if they're ready to move on. The trainees say they are. Then Shahar begins to open the gate and tells them the mission is starting. Yang, Jin, and Yan get ready to enter the gate at Mappo Station. It's a level 1 dungeon called Mujieo. Its true name means the Boundless Realm. From theory class, Yang learned that there are many dimensions in the world called Muji. These are empty places not even given real names, totally abandoned. But from what he studied, sometimes those empty worlds still have old ruins from smart beings who once lived there. Yang wonders if the Muji worlds were made when other worlds were destroyed. It could be true. No one really knows what's beyond the gates, but none of that matters now. This is Yang's first time entering a gate, and it feels exciting. Because the Muji gate is at Mappo Station, the weather is freezing, around -2 degrees Celsius. It's super cold. After stepping into the new dimension, Instructor Shahar tells them that from now on, she'll step back. Still, they don't know where the enemy will come from, so they must move very carefully. The monsters here are called enro. They are 4-legged creatures like dogs and are about 3 meters tall. Like normal dogs, their main way of attacking is by biting. One of their most dangerous traits is their ability to jump really high, and they usually move in packs of 3 to 5. Yang thinks that even though this is just a level 1 dungeon, facing monsters like these would be hard for new trainees. But in his mind, these creatures aren't much of a danger to him. Why? Because of all this hard study and training before the test, his power level has grown a lot. Even more important is the special ability he got after mastering the Black Saga of Internal Meridians. It's very powerful. At first, he felt embarrassed by it, but the boost it gives to his strength is amazing. Compared to regular awakened people, his power is much higher. And when you add his martial arts skills and battle awareness, his fighting ability is almost equal to top second-class warriors, maybe even close to first class. Since he got back to this strength level in just 1 month, he has no reason to be unsure in a level 1 dungeon. Suddenly, Yang senses something strange. He quickly tells everyone to stop and stay still. He realizes they are not alone anymore. A small group of cubic creatures is coming toward them, almost like they're greeting the team. Jin and Yeon are shocked. They haven't even gone deep into the dungeon yet, and monsters are already here. Jin says there are 5 of them, and they've just started the mission. Instructor Shahar replies that at their current level, they should be able to defeat these creatures without getting hurt. There's no need to be scared. They just need to stay focused. Then she raises her voice and tells Team 8 to get ready to fight. She warns them not to rush and to attack only when the creatures come into view. Yang feels the whole thing is boring. He knows that if he fought alone, he could defeat the monsters quickly. But for now, he has to follow orders. Something seems strange to Yang. Jin and Yeon don't have any weapons. That's odd because Yang knows that training usually gives weapons to those who need them. Yang himself didn't take one because he feels more comfortable fighting with his hands. But now he wonders, do Jin and Yeon also have powers that let them fight without weapons? Finally, the monsters come close. Instructor Shahar tells them to be fully ready and start attacking now. Right away, Jin jumps at the monsters, and sharp claws suddenly grow from his hands. Yang is shocked. He's sure Jin didn't have any weapons when they started. So when did those claws appear? Then he looks at Yeon and sees her using magic energy. He realizes she's likely a support or healer type fighter. Not a bad role at all. Yang starts to feel excited. He can't stay behind. He needs to move. So he activates his power and uses Storm Leap, jumping forward and closing the distance between himself and the monsters in seconds. Jin is surprised at how fast Yang catches up, but Yang wants to use this chance to test his training and his stronger body. He throws a powerful punch at one of the Neuro beasts using a new move called Shattering Iron Palm. Then he follows it up with Shockwave Strike, taking down another monster. But just as he's busy fighting, another creature races toward him from behind, aiming to catch him off guard. Thanks to his quick thinking and sharp instincts, Yang jumps into the air before the Neuro can reach him. He focuses energy into his legs and uses Windbreaker, slamming down hard on the monster's head and defeating it instantly, no mercy. Yang stands tall, having defeated 2 beasts all by himself in just seconds. Everyone goes silent. No one can believe what they just saw. Jin and Yeon are shocked. It's almost crazy. Even Instructor Shahar has trouble believing that kind of strength came from a trainee. She starts to realize that Yang's actions aren't normal. They don't even seem human. Meanwhile, Yang notices that the fight isn't over. Another monster is sneaking up behind them. He uses his power again to move fast and rushes toward it. Even the monster looks surprised by how quickly Yang arrives. It gets ready to fight back, but Yang powers up and prepares a punch using the basic Iron Fist move. Then he takes it further. He throws a storm of fast, hard punches, unleashing his powerful fighting style without holding back. Instructor Shahar watches him closely. She tries not to think too much, but she can't stop herself from wondering if she should take Yang back to Elvenheim with her. Yang smiles. He knows that all this past martial arts training helped his body fit perfectly with this way of fighting. His reflexes are now amazing. His special system has clearly helped a lot in making him stronger. He starts to think. Maybe he's ready to go to the Huan continent now. After all, his skills already match most first-class fighters. As he looks around, he sees only 2 monsters left. He knows he can defeat them easily, but he remembers this is a team exercise. If he finishes the fight himself, it ruins the chance for the others to learn and grow. For him, it's just another test, but for the others, it's a big chance to get real fighting experience. So he chooses to step back and let them finish the job. Jin and Yeon are surprised at first, but then they understand why. He's giving them a chance to test themselves. Excited, Jin says he'll take down the last monsters. His claws grow sharper as he powers them up. He charges toward one of the Naro and swipes. His claw slices the beast in half in one fiery attack. But there's still one more monster. As Jin turns away, he misses it. Despite Yan's warning, the beast grabs his arm in its jaws. Jin reacts quickly and twists just enough to avoid a full bite, but the monster still catches his arm. He fights back by using his other hand to slash the creature's throat with his claws. He's surprised. How did he miss seeing the monster? It was fast. Yan quickly steps in and uses her healing magic. She stops the bleeding right away and treats the wound. Jin is amazed. There's no sign in the bite anymore. No pain, no blood. That's when he realizes just how strong Yan's healing magic really is. As they start to recover from their first fight, 5 more monsters suddenly appear. The second wave rushes at them fast, giving them no time to rest. But unlucky for the beasts, Team 8 is now used to the battle and fully ready. Their only goal now is to finish the dungeon as fast as they can. After finishing their training inside the dungeon, Instructor Shahar and Team 8 come out of the gate, tired after their first real fight with dungeon monsters. All they want now is to go back and rest. Yang completely understands how they feel after all. They just went through 6 battles in a row. That's a very intense first-time experience on a real battlefield. Instructor Shahar, full of excitement, tells them she's proud. They really proved how amazing Earth's Awakened ones are, strong and impressive. The trainees look a bit confused, so she explains more. Even though they were pushed to the limit, their fighting skills improved a lot. That kind of growth is rare even in real battles. It shows they have special talent. Yang agrees. He saw how both Jin and Yan got better during each fight. Even for him, though he has a lot of martial arts skill, the system helped him grow much faster. It's not just natural talent alone. Instructor Shahar then says she believes they'll soon be ready for real missions. She is very proud of them and says they can return home feeling proud of what they've done. The trainees feel super happy and full of energy after hearing her kind words. They're also glad the hard training is finally over. But then Instructor Shahar stops Yang and asks him to stay a moment. She wants to talk. She starts by saying that from what she saw, Yang's fighting style doesn't seem to rely on the system. It looks very disciplined, like true martial arts. She asks if she's wrong. Yang stays quiet for a moment, so she tells him it's okay. He doesn't have to answer if he doesn't want to. She won't be upset. But then Yang replies and says she's right. He did learn martial arts. Instructor Shahar is a bit surprised. The records say Yang was in a coma for 5 years and only woke up recently. It doesn't make sense for him to learn martial arts so quickly. But she knows the world is full of mysteries and some things just can't be explained. Yang notices her long silence and asks if something is wrong. She says no, she just finds him interesting and incredibly talented. She also says she really admires how he made sure his teammates got real battle experience just like him. Yang replies that it's only right. He's their leader and it's his job to be someone they can count on. Instructor Shahar says that not everyone is able to take their responsibilities seriously, but Yang is different. He deserves respect and praise. Yang feels shy about her kind words. It doesn't feel like flattery. She's being honest. He tells her she's making it sound too big, but she says she truly means it. Then she says goodbye and tells him to head home safely. As Yang walks away, he finds himself thinking about Instructor Shahar. He realizes that elves will always be elves, beautiful beyond words. He's never seen such beauty before, not even in the Huan continent. But he quickly pushes those thoughts away. Now is not the time to be distracted. What really matters is that today's training was a big success. At the same time, he feels a stronger hunger to grow. It makes sense. He used to be known as the greatest martial artist in the Huan continent. And even though he's catching up fast, that deep hunger inside him is still there. Still, he knows he shouldn't rush. Moving too fast won't help. What he needs is patience and steady steps.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.